Welcome, fellow traveler. Take a deep breath with me. Today, we're going to prepare ourselves to journey through North America mindfully, totally free from the heavy anxiety of exorbitant mobile roaming fees weighing us down. If you're moving between Canada, the United States, and Mexico, the phone plan situation can feel, well, like absolute chaos. We're talking 3 countries, a dozen major carriers, and pricing that seems to magically shift the second you cross a border. But as mindful travelers, we prepare ourselves to enjoy our travel without the anxiety of those extra fees. We're going to map out exactly how to stay connected, keep our peace of mind, and definitely protect our wallets.
Imagine this for a second. You cross the U.S. border from Canada for a tranquil 3-day weekend in Maine. You leave your phone in your pocket, barely using any data, maybe just checking a quick map or sending a text to family back home. You return home feeling completely refreshed, only to open your monthly statement and find a sudden, highly stressful $127 fee staring back at you. That peaceful weekend feeling? Yeah, it vanishes instantly, replaced by a sheer post-trip panic. And the crazy thing is, that charge didn't come from heavy streaming. It came from a daily roaming fee that quietly kicked in the absolute millisecond your phone connected to a foreign tower.
Or picture this. You arrive in Mexico, completely determined to avoid those exact roaming charges, so you buy a digital SIM card, but it absolutely refuses to activate. Now, instead of walking barefoot on the beach, you're spending 2 precious hours of your vacation sitting in a Puerto Vallarta cafe, frantically restarting your phone. The barista's watching you sweat, and you're looking exactly like the confused tourist you swore you'd never be. Eventually, you just kind of give up and rely on offline maps. Look, neither of these scenarios is how we want to experience the world, right? So rather than stress over moments like these, let's explore our mindful roadmap. First, we'll look at the cost of convenience. Second, the big carriers and their bigger fees. Third, the one-plan solution. Fourth, alternatives and digital SIMs. And finally, some mindful tech preparation.
Let's dive right into part 1, the cost of convenience.
As travelers, we often mistake just completely ignoring our phone plans for true convenience. We think, hey, I'll just leave my phone on. How bad could it really be? Well, leaving your home settings on is actually a highly expensive trap. You're paying heavily for the convenience of not thinking. For major Canadian carriers, if you leave the country with your regular plan and do nothing, a daily fee automatically triggers the moment your device uses a tiny drop of data. You don't even have to open a web browser. Simple background app refreshes are enough. At $13 to $18 a day, depending on your provider and destination, you're getting buried in unexpected fees before you even unpack your suitcase.
Which brings us to part 2, big carriers, bigger fees.
Let's bring some much-needed clarity to the mental clutter created by the big 3 Canadian providers, Rogers, Bell, and TELUS, and look deeply at their incredibly complicated pricing models. There's this grand illusion of safety these carriers provide. Their daily rates hover around $13 to $16 for the US and up to $18 for Mexico. Now, they'll eagerly advertise a 20-day billing cap, making you feel like your costs are strictly contained. But there is a massive catch here. Those caps reset each billing cycle. If your trip happens to spend 2 cycles, you can absolutely be charged for another 20 days. Even worse, look at how Bell structures their cap. It's totally separate for the US and international. So if you spend 20 days in the US and then 10 days in Mexico during the same billing period, those caps actually stack. You could easily wind up with a devastating $420 bill for a single month of roaming.
And let's just say you accept those high prices, assuming you're at least going to get premium service for that kind of money. Think again. Carriers will throttle your data so aggressively. Bell, for instance, chokes your data speed down to an incredibly slow 512 kilobits per second after just 5 gigabytes of daily use. We're talking dial-up era speed here. A peaceful real-time video call home to your family suddenly turns into a frustrating, pixelated, buffering mess. You are paying a literal premium price for a heavily compromised experience.
Fortunately, we have part 3, the one-plan solution.
Yes, there is a remarkably simple, mindful path for travelers seeking total harmony between seamless connectivity and their budget. It's a real game changer called Public Mobile. Consider this stark contrast. If you take a 2-week trip split between the US and Mexico on a standard Big 3 carrier, you're looking at around $238 just in roaming fees. Now compare that to Public Mobile, a flat, consistent $40 a month for a plan that covers Canada, the US, and Mexico. For that $40, you get 75 gigabytes of 5G data to use across all 3 borders. No daily fees, no surprise math. The absolute crucial point here is how this fundamentally changes your travel experience. Public Mobile operates on top-tier networks. You're on TELUS at home in Canada, T-Mobile when you cross over into the US, and Telcel, which is the largest, most reliable network when you touch down in Mexico.
And because it's a prepaid model, there is zero post-bill panic. If a service isn't included, it simply won't connect, meaning surprise overage charges literally cannot happen. You get to keep your existing Canadian phone number, and you don't have to do mental gymnastics every single time you check a map. You don't do math, you just have data. It's the ultimate mental freedom.
And making this switch before your trip? It's an incredibly smooth journey. You simply check your phone's compatibility online, choose that $40 Canada-US-Mexico plan, and port over your existing number. The whole process usually takes just a few hours. The only mindful step you really have to remember is to log into your account and ensure your roaming toggle is switched on. After that, you are completely free to roam in peace.
Now for Part 4, Alternatives and Digital SIMs.
Look, we completely recognize that every journey is unique. Public Mobile is currently only available for Canadians, so if you're visiting North America from overseas or you just have a highly specific travel itinerary, other mindful options definitely exist. If you're spending an extended chunk of time exclusively in the US, a prepaid T-Mobile or AT&T plan is an excellent value. For those settling into Mexico for a month or more, simply walking into a local Telcel shop and buying a physical SIM card gives you about 30 gigabytes of data for just $25. Plus, you get a local Mexican phone number, which is fantastic for local food delivery and rideshare apps. And if you're a digital nomad or a non-Canadian bouncing between countries, an Airalo eSIM is just brilliant. For about $35, you get a digital North American plan that automatically hops between networks as you cross borders. The whole shebang with absolutely no physical cards required.
But a quick word of caution for the mindful traveler. You've got to be highly skeptical of digital eSIM providers, like Holofly for example, that aggressively market unlimited data plans. Always read the fine print. Their fair use policies usually mean that after you hit 15 to 20 gigabytes of use, your speeds are quietly and heavily throttled, completely breaking the tranquility of your trip. Fixed data plans, like Airalo's, are generally much more transparent and honest.
Finally, Part 5, Mindful Tech Preparation.
Before you even step out your front door, taking a few deep breaths and making slight, deliberate adjustments to your technology will profoundly protect your peace while on the road. First off, if your bank relies on texting you an SMS code to log in, changing to a local or digital SIM card might lock you out entirely. Preempt this by switching your two-factor authentication to an app like Google Authenticator before you even pack your bags. Second, train yourself to rely on WhatsApp or FaceTime audio rather than traditional cellular voice calls. They're free over data and crystal clear. And third, actually listen to this very closely, never ever dial a 1-800 number from abroad on a standard postpaid plan. A traveler recently tried calling a Canadian Airlines toll-free number from Mexico. Because toll-free routing abroad is wildly unpredictable, the call quietly bounced through US networks, resulting in a phone bill of hundreds of dollars. Just stick to data calling, for sure.
Also, let's just dispel a very common fear about switching plans. So many people think their phones are permanently locked to their home carrier. Take great comfort in knowing that if you purchased your smartphone in Canada, it is legally unlocked by law. This is your device. You have total, unrestricted freedom to choose any provider, any eSIM, or any local SIM card you wish. You are absolutely not trapped.
So, fellow traveler, I leave you with this final provocative thought as you prepare to embark on your next journey across borders. Why continue paying for the chaotic, incredibly expensive convenience of not thinking? The telecom companies are banking on your complacency, but you're the one in control here. Taking just 10 minutes to make a mindful, simple choice today, whether that's switching to a seamless plan like Public Mobile or downloading the right digital eSIM, buys you absolute mental and financial freedom tomorrow. Travel is meant to be deeply experienced, not worried over. Prepare well, save your money for the adventures that actually matter, and travel in perfect peace. Safe journeys.